Opening scene: the falls called the morning sun cast long shadows across Maple Street when the squad cars rolled up to house number 42. Officer Blake stepped out first, adjusting his belt with practiced authority. His partner, Officer Kane, followed closely behind, radio crackling with dispatch updates. "Anonymous tip came in 20 minutes ago," Blake muttered, scanning the quiet residential street. "Two suspects matching the bank robbery description. Black male, 70s, gray hair. Black female, same age range." Kane nodded, checking his notepad. "Should be Marcus and Ruby Thompson according to the address." Neither officer bothered to verify the tip. Neither questioned why bank robbers would return home after a heist. The call had come in, and that was enough. Blake knocked hard on the front door, his knuckles echoing through the peaceful neighborhood morning. The arrest: Marcus Thompson, 74 years old, opened the door in his house slippers and reading glasses. "Good morning, officers. How can I help you?" "Turn around. Hands behind your back," Blake barked, already reaching for his handcuffs. "What? I don't understand," Marcus stammered, confusion spreading across his weathered face. Kane grabbed the elderly man's arm, spinning him roughly against the door frame. The metal cuffs clicked tight around Marcus's wrists as Ruby appeared in the doorway, her morning coffee still steaming in her hands. "Marcus! What's happening?" she cried out, setting down her cup with shaking fingers. "Ma'am, you're under arrest too," Kane declared, advancing toward the 72-year-old woman. "For what crime?" Ruby demanded, backing into her own living room. Blake pushed past her, grabbing her thin wrists. "Bank robbery. You have the right to remain silent." Across the street, Sarah Martinez paused while watering her garden. She pulled out her phone and started recording. 2 houses down, elderly Mr. Chen stepped onto his porch, frowning at the scene. Community awakening. Sarah's fingers trembled as she held up her phone, capturing every moment. "This is wrong," she whispered, then raised her voice. "Hey! What did they do?" Blake glanced over, irritated. "Mind your own business, lady." But Sarah was already dialing. "Mom, get outside now. The police are arresting Marcus and Ruby for no reason." Her mother lived 3 blocks away, but news traveled fast in this tight-knit community. Within minutes, Sarah's phone buzzed with incoming calls. She answered quickly, never stopping her recording. "Yes, they're handcuffing them right now. Ruby's crying. Marcus keeps asking what they did wrong." Mrs. Patterson from next door emerged, still in her bathrobe. She immediately called her son, a local teacher. "David, bring everyone you can. Something terrible is happening on Maple Street." Mr. Chen walked across his lawn, his phone pressed to his ear. "The whole neighborhood needs to see this," he said in rapid Spanish to his daughter. Doors began opening up and down the street. The Williams family stepped out together. Young mother Lisa Garcia pushed her stroller closer, recording on her own device. Old Mr. Rodriguez hobbled out with his cane, shaking his head in disbelief. The circle was forming. The confrontation: within 10 minutes, 40 neighbors had gathered around the 2 police cars. They formed a protective semicircle, their voices rising in unified demand for answers. "What evidence do you have?" shouted David Patterson, stepping forward with his teaching credentials visible on his shirt. "These people have lived here for 30 years. Blake tried to push Marcus toward the squad car, but the crowd pressed closer. Sarah continued filming while Mrs. Garcia translated everything into Spanish for the growing group of Latino residents. "You're hurting him," Ruby cried as Kane's grip tightened on her arm. "I have arthritis in my shoulders." Mr. Chen planted himself directly in front of the police car door. "You will not put them in there until you explain yourselves." Officer Kane reached for his radio. "We need backup on Maple Street. Large crowd gathering." "No backup needed if you do the right thing," called out Lisa Garcia, bouncing her baby to keep him calm. "Just tell us what crime they committed." Blake's face reddened. Bank robbery. We have a reliable tip. From who? Demanded Sarah, never lowering her phone. Show us the warrant. The officers exchanged nervous glances. They had no warrant. Only an anonymous phone call that was starting to feel very thin. Truth revealed. Blake's radio crackled to life, cutting through the tense atmosphere. All units, suspects apprehended on 5th Street. 2 males, ages 28 and 31. Bank robbery case closed. The crowd fell silent. Kane slowly released his grip on Ruby's arm, his face pale with realization. Wait, Blake stammered into his radio. Repeat that description. 2 young males, officer. Black hoodie, white t-shirt. Caught fleeing the scene with stolen cash. Sarah stepped closer, her phone still recording. Those aren't elderly people, are they, officer? Blake looked at Marcus, still handcuffed and confused, then at the crowd of angry neighbors. The weight of his mistake pressed down on him like a heavy stone. Remove the handcuffs, Kane whispered to his partner. Now! Shouted David Patterson. Blake fumbled with his keys, avoiding eye contact with Marcus. Sir, there's been a misunderstanding. Resolution and hope. The handcuffs clicked open, and Marcus rubbed his sore wrists. Ruby immediately rushed to his side, tears streaming down her cheeks. We apologize for the error, Blake said quietly, his earlier authority completely gone, but the neighborhood wasn't finished. Sarah stepped forward, her phone still recording. An apology isn't enough. We want accountability. David Patterson nodded firmly. We're filing formal complaints. This kind of profiling stops today, Mrs. Garcia spoke up, her voice strong despite her accent. We protect each other here. Always. As the police cars pulled away, the neighbors didn't scatter. Instead, they gathered around Marcus and Ruby, offering hugs, water, and kind words. Mr. Chen brought chairs from his porch. Mrs. Patterson fetched a cool cloth for Ruby's forehead. Thank you, Marcus said, his voice breaking with emotion. Thank you all for standing with us. Sarah finally lowered her phone, but she kept the recording saved. This moment would not be forgotten. The community had found its voice, and Maple Street would never be the same.